and welcome to Amazing Series. This is your host Amma, and this is a continuation of our series on rebuilding Liberia. I'm joined by a very bright young lady. She's also my friend. Her name is Monique Cooper, and she's here to share with us her experiences moving back to rebuild Liberia, to help rebuild Liberia, and also to let us know what the benefits and of course some of the challenges are. Monique, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much, Amma, for having me. It's a fantastic opportunity to be here with you.
Monique, so can you tell us a bit of what you do here in Liberia?
Well, when I moved back in the first quarter of 2006, I got a job with the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program. And so since then, I've been working in strategic policy. And what we do is really support the government's efforts in formulating its poverty reduction strategy.
You've moved to a country that is the early stages of post-war, so it's restructuring, it's rebuilding, infrastructure, skill set, everything is being brought to a new level. What have been some of the challenges you have faced?
When I first moved back home, it really was. I mean, there were so many challenges. The potholes in the road were crazy. Sometimes a 5-minute journey can take you an hour simply because there's traffic. And then the potholes, honestly, I mean, you know, like really the main thoroughfare through our city right now, Tubman Boulevard, we had to go through a nightmare process of, you know, like just getting even 5 blocks, it would take you half an hour, you know, and sometimes it's just like, oh, you have to change your shocks on your car, you know, it's just, and it was really, really crazy, but it's been good. I mean, once you settle into your own rhythm, it has been good, you know, but also I think a lot of the time some people move home and, you know, everyone really has this passion to give back and to commit and to share because they have been so fortunate to experience, you know, and see the world and have exposure. But sometimes also I think a lot of people don't take time to see the other perspective, and that is very, very important, because as much as you have to share, other people also have things to share that you can learn from, you know, and your perspective isn't always the right perspective. It may work better, but it works better because of the other circumstances around it, you know, and that's really important to take into consideration. And sometimes that can cause a lot of frustration, because what we expect of other people, they haven't seen it the way you're seeing it, you know, and for them, you know, it's not necessarily as burning of a priority as, you know, and so sometimes there is a bit of a need to compromise a bit and say, okay, you know, calm down. It doesn't have to be done my way, even though this is how I'm used to it or something like that, you know, and I think that's really good.
So what would you have to tell anyone who is outside of Liberia, if they're planning, if they want to come back, what advice do you have to give to them?
Wow, I think I would give them a couple of pieces of advice, honestly. The first would really be to take your time and study it, particularly, you know, and there's some very practical things that particularly people with families have to take into consideration, you know, the schools, changing schools, also a lot of the adaptation of things that govern everyday life, of probably having someone in the home to help you, but understanding that that's not a relationship that you disrespect, or that's not a relationship that your children should disrespect, you know. It can be very simple things, but also looking at what is going to become your income earner, you know, and you're probably not going to have maybe a fixed income the same way you had in the US or in Europe or something like that. You have to figure out what is going to maintain you and your family in the type of life that you're used to, you know, rather than, I mean, because sometimes people have a very grandiose lifestyle that they can't necessarily maintain. Unfortunately, in terms of trying to maintain that, they're willing to sacrifice so many other things, which really, you know, aren't worth it. And then also, I guess it's just finding your area of comparative advantage and really finding where it is that you can try to support and uplift, you know, I mean, because it's so easy to criticize, and criticizing, you know, for me, I think people who criticize are sort of like taking the cheap route, you know. I mean, if it's to point a finger is easy, but you know, to have the 3 that are pointing back at you and say, okay, I'm going to tackle this, this, and this, you know, that's harder. And I really, for me, I respect people more who take that challenge up on themselves and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do differently, and this is how I'm going to show this differently. And I think that's what we really, really need, to have more and more people who are committed, who are dedicated to honesty and integrity, and willing to do things to show that honesty and integrity and have it manifest.
So it's been almost 5 years since you moved back home.
Yeah.
First of all, are you glad you moved? And I feel like I should ask that question again. Are you glad you moved?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Without a doubt, yeah.
Do you feel like you're contributing to rebuilding Liberia?
You know, I mean, for me, actually, I see it kind of in the reverse. I think this is such a dynamic time to be in Liberia. I mean, Liberia right now is rewriting its own history, and I think that is fascinating. And I think that everybody here that's that has the opportunity, that is blessed to see Liberia in this time, I think, you know, I think they are really the ones who should be thankful, you know, and we're having, and it's not perfect, you know, I mean, and you're always going to have a difference of opinions on many things in a society, but it's really how we manage and balance those things, and how we're able to compromise as a group of people. And I think that is really what's fascinating about being in Liberia right now, and watching how it's almost like a group of people that are really learning to live with one another again. And that is what I find so fascinating. So for me, it's not, I mean, yes, I do feel like I am contributing and that I am helping and I am living in my own little way, even if it's only because I'm paying taxes or because, you know, I'm supporting local economies and things like that. But I mean, still, I think it's a wonderful blessing for every single Liberian and non-Liberian who is able to join and see this process happen.
I'm Edmunion David Tape. I'm the Minister of Youth and Sports.
Why is sports important? Why is sports important to the healing and rebuilding of Liberia?
It's important because, first, it serves as a unifying medium. Second, it provides the necessary discipline and a level of education that the young people need to actually fit into a society where for a long time has been almost like lawless. And with sports, what it does, it gives the young people a certain kind of freedom where they can demonstrate their capacity of things that they can do, not only from just being able to play, but how to think and how they interact with each other, and that get a feeling of belonging to an institution or to some activity that they feel proud of and can call their own. That goes a long way in helping for what we talked about, stability, for peace, for unity among the young people, where they come together and feel that they have one goal, and that is, for instance, if they're on a team, that is to win.
Now, the people in the diaspora who would like to come back, do you have anything specific to say to women who are looking at coming back to Liberia? Because I've been very impressed with the number of women in top-notch positions. Do you have anything that you can say directly to women who want to come back but they're afraid of employment opportunities?
There's nothing like a man's world anymore. It's a man's and woman's world, people working together to make a difference for Liberia. And I think everybody should come with that feeling. It doesn't mean that to do that, you have to be disrespectful or try to feel that you know it all. Yes, there will be times when people will see you as thinking that you know it all. But then there's a time that you are supposed to sit and listen to the people who have been doing these things before. And even if you see they were doing it wrong according to your own perspective, listen to them and see how you can combine all the things that you think are wrong with the good things that you think you have to bring together and come with a focus so that together we can all say that we were part of nation building for our own country. If we don't do that, nobody's actually going to do it for us. Everybody says we need partners to help and donors to help. Yes, donors are helping, they also have their own vested interests. But what do we bring to the table when we are talking with partners? They cannot continue to carry us on their backs. We have to be able to slide off their bikes gradually and stand on our feet and move away. They themselves are looking forward to that day when they can say, well, Liberia is well on its way and we need to focus someplace else. And we also can participate in focusing in other countries, especially in the on the African continent where we are, where there's always some rumors of something happening or things happening. When are we ever going to be a part of helping to calm down the storm in another place? If we're all going to stay out of Liberia and say, oh, we're waiting until things change, who's going to change it? Come and be a part of the change.
Amazing series.